Hello, everyone, and welcome to the monthly update vlog for August 3rd, 2020. This is Otaku Showboat. I would like to begin by first off thanking all of the wonderful folks who are supporting this channel and who are making this series a thing that I do every month, especially to those supporting at the Chromium tier through Patreon, the Anonymous, as well as Cole Fodorado. Thank you so much for the wonderful support, and thank you to all of the folks who are supporting through Twitch as well, and everyone who is watching and subscribing to the YouTube channel and providing support through comments and helping everything to grow over there. So, what has happened during the month of July over this past month since we last met? Well, there's a lot to talk about today, so we're gonna be here a while. Maybe get some coffee or tea or something, because there's quite a bit that happened over this past month. I would, however, like to start by saying to please, if you are enjoying these monthly update videos, leave a comment, leave a like, hit subscribe if you aren't subscribed yet, and be sure to do all of the social stuff through the links in the description below the video. That includes supporting Pianodon's mods development at patreon.com/Pianodon if you are enjoying all of the Pie Suite content that I've been producing lately, as well as consider supporting me at patreon.com/Otaku Showboat, potentially even getting your name on the list of supporters here by supporting at the $5 level or above. That is the copper tier. The coal tier is $1. The iron tier is 3. Copper is 5. And then glass is 10. And chromium is 20 and above. All those are the current tiers ish. I really need to look at more stuff. Specifically, I need something unique for glass because there's no real reason, I guess, for people to join glass. I've only had one person who had glass for the 1 month, and now they brought it down to copper, and that's fine. There's no real good incentive for glass yet, and those who tend to provide more support than copper have ended up as chromium. So yeah, that if you have ideas for that, put them in the comments below the video. Let me know what you think I should offer people at the various levels of support. And if you have ideas for other tiers, like let me know for all of that stuff for Patreon. Now, speaking of Patreon, over this past month in July, we did hit 15 above 15 patrons on Patreon, which means that I am now doing dedicated YouTube content on a more consistent basis than just this one monthly video, and outside of the VODs from the streaming stuff. So at this point in time, I had done a straw poll, ran it for about a week-ish, about a week, little under a week, several days, to let people vote on what that dedicated content should be, and by far, about double the second uh, response. The first one that wins is the updated tutorials for the Pie Suite. Like that one hands down by twice the amount of votes as the second place finisher, which was I think at the time actually a tie, something like that, between Crastorio 2 and Vanilla Factorio. So folks seem to like Factorio on my channel, so that got the most votes overall of all the stuff that I listed. I only listed a few things for that particular poll. I listed out what was it again? It was the updated Pie Suite tutorials. It was Crustorio 2 Factorio. It was Vanilla Factorio. It was Subnautica and Autonauts. I think it was just those 5. I could be missing something there. Do I even have that? Do I even have that link still somewhere over the rainbow? I don't know. Here. Yes, you. Yes, it was just those 5 things. So it was the updated Pi tutorials with Crustorio 2 and Vanilla Factorio, and then Subnautica and Autonauts, revisiting Autonauts now that it's been more updated and it is a more complete game than it was previously, because I totally did do few a few videos of Autonauts around the time of its initial release, because I thought it was interesting. It just had a lot of bugs with it, and yeah, I think at this point that a number of the bugs have been fixed, and it would be okay to go back to it. But that only got 1 vote out of, at this point in time, far later on down the line, 35, because people still find that poll and vote on it, even though it's no longer relevant. I am doing the updated tutorials, which the updated tutorials have 17 of 35. It's like half the vote. 49% of the vote is the updated tutorials by itself. And then Crustorio 2 and Vanilla both have 7 each. And Subnautica got 3. So yeah, folks really, 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 really want Factorio. I would have other things on this list if I owned them. So I'm trying to not put on the votes going forward anything I don't already own, right? So that would inherently exclude things like Satisfactory, etc., etc. Other games that are like Factorio, but I don't own them yet. Yet, we shall see. Maybe when the government decides to actually send out another round of payments to the U.S. citizens, that would be about the time I would consider actually buying Satisfactory. But that's a long way down the line. So as I said, updated tutorials are now happening on the channel. You may have noticed that I have released the updated tutorials for iron, copper, and tin at this point, processing for the Pi Suite. I have currently the glass tutorial that is, or overview. These are more overview types of tutorials, because yes, I consider overviews a type of tutorial. That is going to be up later today, this evening, after the VOD for the day. Now, this in and of itself has led me to the decision to change how I post VODs onto the YouTube channel. So previously I split VODs into 5 parts and would put up 2 VODs per day over the course of the week, and Sundays would have 3 VODs to make up that extra 1 that I would have at the end of the week. But now the way I'm doing it is that each VOD is being split into 2 videos rather than 5. Splitting in half at the regularly scheduled break that I have, which is a very natural stopping point, I would say, for my streams. It's about an hour and a half for each video, depending on how over my time I go for that second video, but about an hour and a half each video for these VODs, and it seems to be working well thus far. This now gets me into the fact that I did finish the Paidu Valley series early in July, and have now moved on to a brand new series that has this updated VOD upload schedule, which is the Pi Block series. It's basically a C Block style of game but with Pyandon's mods instead of with Bob's Angels and all the other crap that goes with it. Um, it's been interesting thus far, although at this point in the game, so the progress that we made in this thus far is I started the game, I got through red science, and I've gotten now into green science, and I have at this point in time gotten all of the green science techs unlocked, and I am building my base as I go get towards Circuit 2. So we have begun this long and arduous process that will be eventually the Circuit 2 stuff and all of the other necessary scaling in between. So I am working. The next stream is going to be starting off the green science of ore processing for the various different types of ores, starting with the unslimed iron processing and then going into the grade 4 copper processing, molten copper processing, and then lead for silver, because I really want silver, because that's what's going to be one of the major components that I need for fetal serum to start doing the vat brain biocomputing to get blue science. Because ideally, I want blue science through that trickle of vat brain stuff, because there are a few very key techs at blue science that I very much desire. Things like getting the nitrogen, hydrogen, ammonia recipe would be nice to have, because currently the only way that I have of getting ammonia is through processing of urea, which is going to be a huge, huge build to get the necessary amount of urea for the amount of ammonia that I need for the base going into Circuit 2s. But yeah, I have just set up Niobium, so that's about where I am right now. I beelined to Niobium in this last stream, which has unlocked the big power poles and all of the pipes and such that Niobium unlocks, and all of the buildings that Niobium unlocks, which allows me to do the unslimed iron processing, because Hydrocyclone needs Niobium pipe to build, and that is a necessary building in the unslimed iron processing setup. So that's the progression on the Paidu stream, which finished at its 1 science per second of all sciences, and now into the PyBlock series, and how far I've gotten in the PyBlock series. Now, what else has been going on? Oh my goodness. So, sadly, in very sad real news, in this past month, my last living grandparent passed away. My maternal grandmother, relatively early in the month, and that caused some issues. No, it was not because of the virus. So that is one thing I need to make very clear. It was not COVID-19. It was not COVID-19. Um, it was age-related heart failure, essentially. I mean, they didn't really go into the reasons why, but it's just her heart stopped in the hospital. It just over a period of a couple of weeks, her heart weakened and then stopped. But that's just a thing that will happen with age and with other health factors and previous heart issues. She's had really big bypass surgeries in the past. Excuse me, as I sneeze. She had a few, at least one, like quadruple bypass surgery in the past, something like that, or quintuple bypass. It was a really major heart surgery that she had had. So yeah, she had been having heart problems. She was diabetic as well, which did not help things in the slightest. But yeah, she was in her 80s at the time, so there's really nothing to be extremely sad about. I mean, it happens. It just happens. We were expecting it to happen at some point, and this is the time in which it did. This was an unfortunate time in which it did, considering the virus is also around. So what ended up happening is that my mother and her boyfriend rented a vehicle, perhaps the safest option for their age group, as well as having a whole bunch of other medical conditions that make them at higher risk of getting this virus and of having terrible, terrible effects from this virus, uh, both of which are diabetic as well. Uh, they drove all the way from where I am in Virginia up to the close to 600 miles to get to the southern part of Massachusetts, where they were beginning to help to go through all of my grandmother's belongings in the house, as well as attend and just attend the funeral. That was on a Friday, a few Fridays ago. I forget the exact date. So I stayed behind, and I continued streaming, and I looked after the kittens. So how are the kittens? Let's get into more brighter news. How are the kittens? They are fine. They are active. They are not in the room right now, but they have been visiting my stream every so often. So ever since I had the house to myself. Not anymore. Folks are back by now. Um, I have opened up the door to allow the kittens in while I was streaming, so folks could finally see the kittens while I stream. This has evolved into not having them in the room for the first half of the stream, particularly because through experience, if I have them in from the start, they really like to play with the green screen behind me. Particularly Ollie. He really, really likes to play with this green screen behind me. And if they are both here together, what will end up happening is that one will be on one side of the screen, the other will be on the other side of the screen, and they will begin batting at each other through the screen. Which, while cute, is not the greatest of things to have happening while trying to play and present a video game, uh, such as the Pioneers Mod Suite. I also had an instance where they got into the closet next to me, and well, both of them were in there, and Dolly jumped up on the computer and hit the power button while I was streaming, which shut down the computer. That was fun. That was a thing. They got kicked out for the rest of the day. To say the least, they were kicked out of the room immediately, and I did get back into the stream and started streaming. But unfortunately, that meant that I had a day of footage that wasn't that high of a quality for YouTube. So I apologize for those videos on YouTube that are a little bit lower quality uh, of video quality, just because I had to use the Twitch version of the file, the video file, rather than my local recording, because the local recording broke when the computer shut down. It did not elegantly stop the recording, it just stopped in the middle of making the file, and yeah, that basically just corrupts the file. It makes it unusable, and an unusable brick of however many gigabytes of size for that file, which is highly, highly, highly unfortunate. But even though I could record in a different file format, I would have to like add an extra step of then changing that file format so I could actually edit it in a video editor, because it's like you can either have the ability for the file to be usable in the event of a sudden stop, or you can have something that's actually editable as is in a video editor. You get to take your pick, and if you go the route of the ability to have a usable file in the event of a crash, you have to add an extra step of converting the file to be able to properly edit it with a video editing software. Which, every step you add degrades quality, essentially, which trying not to do. Trying not to degrade quality as much these days. Speaking of quality, a few notes about YouTube. So, YouTube itself. Well, we can talk a little bit about the stats. The Twitch stats, average views are down to 13 for this past month. It's still fine. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. YouTube subscribers are up to 985. We are 15 away from the big 1,000 subscriber mark on YouTube. So thank you all so much for that support. That should happen within this next 28 days, because the usual typical subscriber growth, according to YouTube, over a 28-day period, is 27 to 37 min and max. For this past 28 days, it is at plus 37. So there you go. That means that if everything holds as normal, as typical, I should get 15 subscribers in like 2.5 weeks ish, within 2.5 weeks from now, so sometime in August. Now, all that means is that I would be able to start putting ads on videos. Or at the very least, the ads on videos start going to direct assistance to me. And anyone who has the YouTube premium subscription who watches my videos, I would then get added into that pot of channels that get support through the minutes watched through the YouTube premium stuff as well. So that's ideal. Again, just like on Twitch, though, the YouTube AdSense payouts only happen when you accrue a full $100 of revenue. So that isn't gonna. I'm not gonna see anything for a while from that. That's just how it's gonna be. I won't see it, but maybe once a year at this point, if that. So anyway, slow growth. It's still significant. It would still be significantly more than 0, which is the current amount of payment from YouTube itself. So any additional amount helps. That's the idea here. Anything more will help. And as I have said in the past, if I do get enough support through not AdSense, through not YouTube ads, i.e. via Patreon and via the Twitch subs and all of that good stuff, if I ever do get an amount that I can live off of, in my current state, I will not have the ads on YouTube. I will just turn it off completely and leave it off, because that it's relatively insignificant anyway, and why bother putting people through the ads that happen, those who don't already use AdBlock, because I'm sure most people these days just block the ads anyway. So, what else is there? We've been talking for about 25 minutes, little under 25 minutes at this point. What else is there really to discuss about the month of July? I think that just about covers it. I've said that I have started the new PyBlock series. I've started updating my older Python's mods tutorials in light of all the updates that have happened over the course of time since my previous tutorials. I will be running additional polls as I get closer to quote unquote finishing the updated tutorials, though there are a lot of them that I can make. Eventually, I will be done with them and will want to move on to additional content. So, look forward to those polls at some point. I don't see it happening this month, but in the coming months, having additional polls for additional content on YouTube. My 20 patron Patreon goal is to add an extra stream day. So if we get 5 more patrons within this month, that would be really nice to get another 5. But at any level of support, as low as like $1 of support, that will happen. I will stream a 4th day each week. I do not guarantee that it'll be the same content on that 4th day as the other 3, but in fact, I'm thinking of that being a different content day. But yeah, it will happen. I will have additional content of some description through a 4th stream day as my nose just gets all stuffy. You can probably hear it in my voice now that that I am stuffy. It is that time of day, I guess. We are currently looking at a tropical storm that's on its way. Don't know how that's impacting things, but yes, that's about to go through actually in the next couple of days. As in tomorrow evening. Tomorrow evening, we may lose power, so I may not be streaming on Thursday if the power does not either come back. Yeah, if it doesn't come back, if it goes out, that's what will happen. Is I just won't be able to stream because no power. Hopefully, though, we will have power through this tropical storm going through. Well, by the time it gets here, it'll be tropical storm strength. It's going to be a hurricane again, I guess, before it makes landfall in either the southern part of North Carolina or the northern part of South Carolina, somewhere in that range. It will eventually hit, and it'll come up to the west of where I live, but still will impact the area rather significantly. That is the current state. So what are my plans for August? That's where we will end things now that I've discussed everything about this previous month. What are the plans for August? In August, I want in the Pi Block series, I have to get used to saying the Pi Block series. I want to get as close as I can to Circuit 2s. I know that's being like somewhat vague, but the question is, will I get Circuit 2s within X number of stream days? And the answer is probably not. Probably not. Circuit 2s is the longest stretch in the Pi Suite, so it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while to get to Circuit 2s. I may attempt some sort of a blitz to get to Circuit 2s, but that basically goes against a lot of my inherent strategies as I approach the Pi Suite. I like to overbuild to an extent of certain things. I plan out several steps ahead of my current state so that I don't have to go back and redo some stuff, like ore processing, for example. So right now I'm like completely overdoing ore processing, or at least ore, like obtaining of ore, just because I don't want to look at it again for a long time. And whether or not that ends up being the entirety of the series or not, before I look at it again, that's fine by me. I just don't want to look at it again for a long time. Anyway, That's the idea, is to get as close as I can to Circuit 2's slash get vat brain biocomputing going for blue science relatively soon, to get the few key blue science techs that I need, as well as work towards the neuroprocessors, to get pi science, because that's one you actually have to earn and work towards, is the pi science. And then if you get the pi science, you're pretty close to the Circuit 2's anyway, uh, to get to blue science as well. So that will both happen around the same period of time. But for now, it's just ore processing, all of the ore processing at green science for all of the ores. Obtaining zinc will be a little bit of a problem, but we'll get there. We'll get through it. And yeah, that's going to have to be that in terms of the Pi block series. As for the tutorials, what I'm currently looking at on the tutorials going forward, today is glass, but there's also I have a huge list of stuffs somewhere in my notes. If I can find my notes. Where are my notes? Wherefore art thou, notes? There you are. So, I've done the glass slash the quartz ore processing overview. I need to do a hot air production overview, uh, with the updated hot air mechanics. That is on the agenda as a new tutorial, not an updated tutorial. That will be brand new. I need to do the aluminium, lead, titanium, chromium, nickel, niobium, and molybdenum ore processing overviews. These overviews, by the way, are basically just me sitting in front of Helmod for a period of time, looking at the various different end points of the processing chains to do like comparison between the different tech levels that you have access to, uh, at any given time. So just expect that for these ore processing overviews, and as well likely the circuit overviews. I am intending this time around to do dedicated Circuit 1, Circuit 2, Circuit 3, Circuit 4 overviews. That is covering everything to make each of those circuits, not including all of the previous circuits stuff, because usually each circuit will require stuff from the previous level of circuit. But yeah, that'll be thing. And then also all of the sciences, each science will get its own overview video on top of that. So expect that too, and expect things like uh processing of super steel, stainless steel, etc., like the further processings of the iron, molten iron, and yeah, I will go from there. Oh yeah, and helium, small parts stuff, advanced small parts, special small parts, the vanadium chain as well, the diamond chain. I don't know if I need to do an update to the diamond chain. I'm pretty sure I don't, because it looks identical. That's one of those few things that hasn't changed. Uh, Rayon needs to get updated in light of the Pi Alien Life changes. Um, Otherwise, there's a whole bunch of new tutorials that I haven't mentioned outside of the hot air production. Things like how to use the Ocula, how to use the caravans, although I did sort of do a video on caravans already. There's this logistic worms now, as well as a flying logistics creature to look at. Um, there's a new process to get Tholins to look at. There's of course all of the creatures themselves added in Pi Alien Life can use their own overviews. So there's just lots of stuff. As for what I can get through in this month, expect the ore processing and circuits. Let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 videos before the next update vlog. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, that'll get us through the remaining main ore processings videos, as well as the circuit overviews and automation and logistics science overviews. So a couple of science overviews with all of the circuits. If I do things in the order that I have listed in my notes, I might change up the order of things. Actually, no, that'll get us through automation. Excuse me, not logistics. I'm off by one because hot air counts as one. But yeah, and that'll be the next thing I record immediately after this video. So, with that, folks, after all this rambling for about 36 minutes now, I would like to thank you all for watching. I would like to thank again all of the folks who are supporting through all of the various means. Please be sure that if you have enjoyed these updates thus far, to comment, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and if you are so inclined, leave a follow on Twitch at twitch.tv/Otaku Showboat to be notified when I go live on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 10 a.m. to approximately 1 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. You can do all of the other social stuff through the links below the video. You can help to support Pyanodon's mods development at patreon.com/Pyanodon if you have enjoyed all the Pie Suite stuff. And you can support me at patreon.com/Otaku Showboat. And if you join at the $5 tier or above, you get your name on the list that I have on my videos and such. So, with that, I will be back in September with another update vlog. Hopefully with a lot more to talk about. There is one final thing to mention before completely signing off, and that's that I did make private a lot of stuff on YouTube recently. Know that content is probably going to just be remade at some point. So I'm sorry if you were watching the YouTube content and suddenly a whole bunch of series just got made private on you. Sorry. I needed to do it because A, it was not good content to begin with, and B, there was an end screen that I had used for a while that had little QR codes that, I don't have access to the things that the QR codes were linked to at the time, so I don't have access to that, and I don't want people to attempt to use them to provide support to me when it's not going to actually provide any support to me. It's basically just throwing away currency at that point. So yeah, I need to get rid of that end screen completely from the channel, and I'm pretty sure I've got all of it privatized at this point. So it's unfortunate that that's the case because I got rid of the Gladius playthrough because there were videos in that series that did have that end screen. So expect those videos series to be on the votes going forward for content. Expect it to be on the votes going forward for additional content after the tutorials are updated. So with that, again, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.